So the anime begins with Ryota Murakami observing the stars. In the past, he had a friend named Kurneko who aspired to be an astronaut. She believed the aliens were real, but Murakami did not, so Kurneko took Murakami to the location where she saw aliens with her own eyes to prove it. But then the accident happened. Murakami survived, but Kurneko died. Kurneko's dream was to become an astronaut, so Murakami decided to be one for both of them. Then one day, a girl who looked exactly like Kurneko transferred to the academy. However, she died over time, so Murakami compressed his emotions. Then on the swimming class, a girl's leg got stuck in the filter and she was about to die when an explosion occurred, which turned off the filter like a miracle. Despite this, Murakami couldn't get Nico out of his head as he made his way to the observatory, as he is the only member of the astronomy club. Then Nico arrived there and warned him that there were 2 students who were about to die today. One was the girl at the swimming pool, but she was saved, and the other was Murakami. She warned him and was about to leave when she noticed a constellation chart and became curious. Her method of counting the constellation reminded Murakami of a kindergarten child, and he pointed out that she can't even do simple multiplication table. Then Nico received a call and told Murakami not to leave the observatory for today or else he would die regardless. Murakami didn't believe her and left to go home, missing the last bus on purpose to avoid her prediction. But her words came true, and Murakami had been trapped in a landslide as a large boulder was about to crush him to death. But Nico arrived, and with her power, she saved Murakami. To keep him safe, Nico warned him not to interfere with her if he didn't want to die. After that, she didn't show up to school the next day, so the teacher asked Ryota to give Nico some transfer paper and the beach trip guide. Since her address was near the observatory, he saw a full military cavalry on his way there. Well, the address she had given in the school record was an outlook point. However, upon closer inspection, Murakami discovered a rundown establishment, where he once again encountered Nico. Nico came to school to save the lives of those 2 students, and now that the purpose was completed, she no longer needed to attend school. Nico told Murakami that she was imprisoned in a lab for 10 years and was never allowed to study, but luckily she and another witch managed to escape in an accident. However, from Murakami's perspective, it was even more of a reason to live her life. But then Murakami heard a strange voice calling out for help, and Nico assured him that there was nothing to worry about. However, Murakami was insistent on looking for the person, so Nico used her witch's power to make him leave. Murakami then forgot to give her the trip guide as he was leaving, so he returned to her house. She seemed to be talking to someone, but the other person was not responding, so when Nico left the room, Murakami took the opportunity to see the person. Kana was her name, and she was paralyzed as a result of the lab's continuous experiments, but as a result, she gained the ability to see into the future, which is how Nico learned about Murakami's accident. But she could still move her left hand and communicate with the help of the voice pad. So, on another day, Nico arrived at school, but when the teacher assigned her a paragraph to read, she was worried. Murakami became aware of her situation and made an excuse to accompany Nico to the nurse's office. However, Kana later informed them that a lady in red had died in an accident near the station. They were about to run into a woman because they were in a hurry, but as they got the location, it was too late, the accident had already occurred. They assumed the women had died, but seeing the same women they had met earlier in the day gave them a sigh of relief because she was the victim they had saved. After that, Murakami bought the cake for them, and they were overjoyed to have a tasty cake after so long. However, as Murakami was about to leave, he noticed Nico was bleeding from her nose, and she didn't show up the next day. The next day, Nico was completely messed up, as if she had been in an accident or something. Just to be safe, Murakami arrived at her house and saw Nico was on the verge of death. So she reveals that every witch has to take medicine to sustain themselves in every 30 hours or else their bodies will dissolve in another 5 hours. They only had 10 more pills, and she was deliberately stretching the time on pills, even though the lab manages to keep a lease on witches, and because the car they fled in had no windows, they had no idea lab's location. Then everything messes up. Nico came to see Murakami after leaving the water warm on fire to take a bath, but she made a serious mistake. As a result, the last of their pills were burned, and unfortunately, Kana's time to take another pill had come. So they lost all hope for their lives, but Murakami has a photographic memory and can remember anything he sees. He used it to recall the code written in the pills and to point out the precise location of the lab. However, they had to first bypass the security system. For that, they contacted another witch named Kozomi, a witch with hacking abilities. She was initially irritated at the prospect of involving a normal human in their mess, but when it came to getting inside, she agreed. Kana then had another vision in which Nico died in the lab at the hands of an AA class witch named Sori. Witches have ranks that include from AAA to C, so they have a no chance of surviving if they get there. But there is still hope because Nico, she reveals every witch's flaw. They all have a harness around their necks, and if they press the bottom right switch, no witch will be able to use magic for the day, and the bottom left side switch can kill a witch. Then Kana revealed that if Nico uses too much of her power, her harness may hang up on her own, resulting in her death, and overuse of her power also damages her memories that she treasured. So, before breaking into the lab, Nico gave Murakami a letter, which he could only read once inside. So Nico is left alone to distract Sayuri while Murakami enters to take the pills. Then came the letter, in which Nico told Murakami to take the pill and flee, stating that she was willing to be a bait in order to save Murakami, Kana, and Kazumi. But Murakami didn't agree, and Kana had another vision in which both of them died. Sayuri possessed two types of magic, one of which was slicing magic with a 6-meter radius. So by the time Murakami arrived, it was too late, but he still stabbed the metal rod in Sayuri's chest. Because Soris's other magic is time reversal, she now has no choice but to use it. However, this consumes too much power, and as a result, her harness became hung up. Nonetheless, they wanted to assist Sori in escaping the lab, but it was pointless because they had installed a remote trigger to her harness, and since she failed her task, she would die anyway. Chisato was the one pulling all the strings on the witch, as well as the head of the witch's program. Kana was able to survive because Kazumi shared her last pill with her, and both of them survived until Murakami and Nico returned with more pills. So the issue was her living arrangements, so Ryota told her to relocate to the observatory. Murakami is the only member of the astronomy club, so anyone would suspect anything. As a result, she began to trust Murakami more and gave him a table and an alien egg. She obtained this while fleeing the lab, and Chisato learned from another witch that Kazumi was keeping an academic record for another witch. He is so heartless that he murdered her after learning information from her. Then he was summoned by his superiors, who were all concerned about the witches who had escaped and how to clean them up, because Chisato had already made his move and dispatched a AAA rank witch to do the job. Then Kazumi enrolled as a transfer student in the academy, but getting in as a transfer student during the midterms could be suspicious. After that, another girl named Katori Taketori came to join the astronomy club. She appeared normal and cheerful, and then as members of the astronomy club, they went to the mountains to observe stars and other constellations. However, when Katori was given the opportunity to observe, Murakami discovered that she, too, is a witch. Kana also had a vision of Katori smiling beside Neko's dead body. Katori was surprised how they knew about the witch, while she was looking at the other three in their faces, but they were still worried about her powers and Kana prediction. However, her power was simply teleportation, which she could only use once per day, making her completely useless. So they were relieved because her power is completely useless for killing someone. However, Kana's vision changed and this time Murakami is the one who will die. So the incident happened near the lake, so Ryota decided not to go there, and the problem was solved. But then they got a call from another escape witch. She was being hunted down and needed help. Her name is Shino, and without hesitation, Nico fled to save her. So Kazumi used her ability and discovered it's a AA+ rank witch Kikako that after Shini. Her strength is a human laser cannon, and it was too late to save her. So Kazumi was asking with them to leave before it was too late. They could have left earlier. But after seeing Shino die, Nico wanted to fight Kikako, so Murakami pressed her right switch of harnessed, preventing her from using her power for the day. But, unaware of the situation, Katori went there to look for Shino. They now had no choice but to fight her in order to save Katori. Nico discovered the loophole in her power, the time it takes to fire another laser beam. Use that time to activate her harness switch. But then Katori was tying herself up just to swap places with Nico and save her. So Murakami had an idea and made Katori switch places with Kikako and disable for the rest of the day and save their own lives. However, Katori left without saying anything, so Kazumi found her address from school records and followed her. She was out of pills, so her friend sacrificed herself so that Katori could spend her final days as a normal high school girl. Even on her last breath, she only asked Katori for one promise, that she would smile even in her darkest hours. So others agreed to help her by sharing some of their pills, but they are now running out of pills even faster. So, in order to solve this crisis, Murakami decided to take the help of others in order to manufacture their own pills. So for that Murakami went to his uncle Kogoro, who runs his own pharmaceuticals lab. However, if he finds out about the witch, his own life will be put at risk. So he wasn't a coward, he was a man of curiosity, and if Murakami could prove that the secret was worth risking his life for, he would gladly assist. So, to prove that the magic is real, Nico destroyed several items in his office, including his pen, and that piqued his interest, and he wanted to know everything. And with that, today's video concludes. Will Kogoro assist the witches by saving them by making death suppressant medication, and will the witches ever be free from the government? Subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the latest update for our next video.